All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Uniform with the LT's daughter. Today, I am so excited for this guest. My guest today is Will Be Inspired Bates. Will, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. This is a long time coming. This is kind of a full circle moment for me.
Yeah.
I found you almost exactly 1 year ago when you were on CTI with Andy
Okay.
Frisella and DJ.
Yep.
And when, they introduced you and you spoke, I looked you up and I was immediately like, I gotta follow this guy because I'm about everything that he's about.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for everything that you're doing for the first responder and military community, which we are going to get into. I'm going to kind of go backwards. I want to get into your fitness experience, but I want to save that a little bit for the end. I
Okay.
want to start off talking a little bit about what you're doing for the military and first responder
Yep.
community. So, for anyone who might be new to you, can you
Mhm.
share a bit about Will Be Inspired and how it came to be?
Yeah, for sure. So back in May of 2021, I was looking for a way to thank a military veteran or pay it forward to a military veteran. We were just kind of getting out of that time where people were doing, video 22 push-ups a day for
Mhm.
22 veterans that commit suicide every day. But now I'm hearing that number is much higher, closer to 44. But I was thinking that there must be something else we can do to kind of help, some people out, especially with everything that they've sacrificed for our freedoms. And I put it out on social media. Hey, this is my idea. I want to cover a year paid in full gym membership for a military veteran. If you're a military veteran and you can use it, or if anybody knows military veteran and wants to nominate them, I would love to help out with a year paid in full gym membership. So I didn't get a lot of response for people wanting it or nominating other people, but what I did get was my buddy Kenny. He's on my board now. He said, "Hey, if you find one, I'll match you and we can get two." So I said, "Okay." So I went to the local gym around the corner from my house and I asked the manager there, "Hey, do you have, any military veterans that, could use some help, or somebody that wants to get into the gym, or, you know, because I think that it is a great way to relieve stress and help with other things that you might be battling mentally." So he said, "Yeah." And so we took care of two gym memberships right there for two military veterans. And he says, "Well, I got more people I can recommend too." So I was like, "Okay." I said, "How you stop at two if, there's more people that could use it." So I put it out there on social media. Hey, here's the receipts. This is what we did. We got two memberships. If you guys would like to keep this going, you think it's a good idea, I will keep it going as long as people keep donating to it. So it started off with military veterans, and then we incorporated first responders, police, fire, EMT, and we're about, I want to say, 88, 89 gym memberships in. We do mental health counseling, wellness retreats, outdoor retreats. We go to Colorado, Arizona, get people out of the St. Louis area and connect with, other military veterans and first responders across the nation, other people that are going through similar situations that, our guys and girls are going through. And it's been great, to kind of help people out and, fill my cup at the same time I'm, working with others as well. So that, in a nutshell, we started doing athlete sponsorships as well, military veteran athletes, first responder athletes. So the idea with that is having purpose after your service. So we have a couple guys that are, rock stars in the athletic field, and we're using them to kind of inspire some other guys, help some other guys out that have had interest in competing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And I love how just how layered it's become.
Yeah,
I think it's really cool though. I want to mention kind of how it started. Very grassroots,
yeah,
very also very similar. It sounds like your mindset was kind of similar to what mine was when I
hmm,
started what I'm doing
yeah,
because for me, it was back in 2020 when the riots were happening, and I
yeah,
wanted to do something for law enforcement
hmm,
to show my support as a civilian. And I was, there's a lot of nonprofits out there that are doing
right,
amazing work, and there was plenty of places to donate, but I wanted to be a little bit more, I say like boots on the ground, a little bit.
right,
I wanted to go the extra mile and do something even more so that they
uh-huh,
knew I was here and I wanted to support them however I could.
hmm,
So that definitely resonates with me. I
awesome.
have a few questions, actually,
Mhm.
follow-up questions.
Yeah.
Why? Well, why was it important to you? Have you just always kind of had a respect for our military?
Yeah, yes, I have. I've always had a respect for our military, and I want to say a couple years prior to me even starting this, um, I saw a military veteran come into the gym. He was signing up at the gym and everything like that. He didn't have either one of his legs, and it was clear that he, probably been in combat, things like that. And, they offer your general 10% discount for military veterans. I'm like, man, we got to do something a little bit more than that. 10%. And, he's missing limbs and stuff like that. But guy was a beast. He was in there benching 315, no worries, and
Wow.
strong as hell. But it was that I have family that have been in the military, and I really just and I've friends and everything like that, and they tell me about the stories about them being overseas and how things have affected them, with wars and people are breathing different, moving different, injuries that they've had, and it's like you know they're doing that so other people don't have to, and they're risking it all in the name of freedom and what they believe is important to them. They're sacrificing a lot. So I thought it was, and then with the media and everything, especially with military veterans and law enforcement, law enforcement's been getting trashed, and uh, veterans haven't been getting respected. I hear so many issues with the VA and everything, and it's like if we don't take care of our people, not people aren't gonna be signing up for these jobs anymore. And it's like you need police, you need military veterans. Um, or military personnel, and it's like if you don't have, you know, awesome people that want to do it or people that are
Mhm.
qualified, then you're going to start getting the bottom of the barrel people, and then you're going to be unhappy with the results that you get from them. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of, wanting to encourage people. It's like, hey, there's a lot of people out here that thank you for your service, appreciate your service, and don't listen to the noise outside media wise. There are a ton of people locally and across this nation that love you guys for what you've done.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's so important is again, just like as people who haven't served, stepping up and letting our men and women who have served
Yeah,
know that we're there for them and that we do support them and appreciate the sacrifices,
absolutely.
that they've made. And I think
Mhm.
to your point, gyms and fitness is such a good outlet for someone
Yeah,
with that background, whether
right.
it's, looking for another purpose and going, becoming an athlete, or even just like putting their body to use and getting
Mhm,
that movement in and getting that almost like expression in. And
mhm.
I just think that's so important. And I love that that's kind of the route that you went. And it's, as we'll get into, it's very kind of in sync and in tune with who you are and your
Yep,
fitness background and stuff.
correct.
You also made an interesting point about the VA. I think
Mhm.
might not know this. My husband is a military veteran. He's a Purple
Okay.
Heart recipient,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
so I have intimate knowledge of how the VA does or does not operate, and
Right, right. Yeah.
it's a wonderful, wonderful resource, but you have to
Mhm.
figure out how it works, and
Yeah,
it's not easy. And so
yeah,
I think, like again, to your point, having these other resources can be
mhm,
so beneficial,
right.
so beyond, what the VA has to offer too.
And we have a guy that works with me, because one of the things that I was seeing was an issue was filling out some of the paperwork for some guys. And we have a guy who walks them through it step by step, and he'll stay with them the whole
Wow.
process to the end. And he's helped out probably about, I want to say, five of our veterans with doing that. And, because it was just kind of discouraging to some of them
Mhm.
with the paperwork and then getting denied and everything like that. And he's been able to get, people approved that need it and deserve it
Mhm.
all the way through.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I actually really want to shout that out. That's really important
Yeah.
because I got to tell you, like, again, my husband went years without tapping into the VA. I've seen his friends do it. I've seen other people do it.
Hmm.
And it almost, I was talking to someone else about this the other day. It almost sounds silly, um, again, as a civilian, to be like, oh,
Hmm.
the paperwork is too much. The paperwork is
Hmm.
overwhelming. The filling out the forms, I
Yeah.
can't, wrap my mind around it. But when you actually think about, they're coming back from combat, they're coming back from, doing these things. The last thing they have the capacity for is figuring out paperwork. I mean, that
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
no one wants to figure out paperwork.
Right.
No one
Yeah.
wants to go through the red tape
No.
and there is a lot of red tape.
Right.
And especially when you're kind of in that mentality and
Hmm.
mindset, it's so easy to just say like, screw this.
Yeah.
Is it really worth it?
Hmm.
And not doing it. And then you just go on about your life. And I think that that really does contribute to part of the problem with
Hmm.
what we're experiencing, vets on the streets and things
Yeah.
like that. And it's just such a shame. So I
Hmm.
really love that you have that resource.
Yeah, we every year we like to adopt a family around Christmas time and everything. And this past year's recipient, military veteran, he went in for a certain procedure that had to do with his heart and everything like that, and he was approved by the VA. Well, some that when they dug down deep in there and everything like that, they figured out he had something else going on, and so because they didn't approve the other thing, they had to wait. The family had to wait for approval to get everything fixed. Would kind of put him even further behind the eight ball and cause more complications because of it, which is extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, that's just awful. And you're always just kind of on your own. They don't give you a person, they don't give you the resources, like talk to this person and they can help you. You
Hmm.
got to really navigate it on your own.
Yeah.
My husband actually ended up talking to my uncle who was a Vietnam vet, and he was able to
Okay.
help hook him up with his
Mhm.
person who walked him through it, but
Yeah.
he only found her because he was lucky. So
Yeah.
again, that person that you have, I think we need more of that in the
Mhm.
world because
Yeah.
it's not easy for them. And the more support and help that they can get through that process, the better.
Yeah. I agree for sure.
You had mentioned that initially you put it out on social media and you didn't really get any bites. First of all, I love that you kind of reworked
Hmm.
the route you were going. You were like, okay, let me go right to the gym and see if I can figure something out
Yep.
that way.
Hmm.
You didn't just kind of give in the towel or throw in the towel.
Hmm.
But I am kind of curious, now that you've been doing this for several years,
Yep.
looking back, why do you think no one reached out? Do you think it was just maybe it was just the audience you were speaking
Yeah.
to,
Mhm.
or do you think it was people were afraid to ask for that help for
Oh yeah, they,
themselves?
yeah, they don't like asking for help.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was
100% that.
thinking.
So when I started, and I'm not typically the person to ask for help either
Right.
myself. So it's been, I don't want to say a struggle, but when it comes to like raising funds and stuff like that, I don't necessarily like asking people for.
Hmm.
So you'll see me like I'll throw events and everything like that, and that's where we raise a lot of our funds. But generally, you won't see me, hey, give us some dollars or any,
Yeah.
just because it's hard for me. But so yes, good point. So starting out, a lot of times I would just have to just get the memberships. Like I,
Hmm.
I would just get them. Like I wouldn't even ask the people, "Hey, you want this?" I would just get it.
Yeah.
There were so and then because the people that I was asking, they'd be like, "No, thanks, but no thanks. Somebody else could
Oh,
use it
wow.
more than me." And my thing is like,
Mm.
if you don't take it and show other people that, and another veteran or first responder that really could use it, if they don't see somebody like you take it, then maybe they won't take it. Or if you did, then they might be more inclined to say, hey, that's cool. He took it, and this benefited him in so many ways. Maybe it can help me too. So I kind of phrase it as you can be helping the next guy by doing it yourself as well. And the longer that I've been doing it now, people can go on the website and nominate a veteran, or they can ask, to be sponsored themselves. Now I haven't had to reach out or go into the gyms as much and do it. Like I have a lot of people reaching out, nominating people, and people saying, how it's benefited other veterans in the program, and how they've evolved and made their lives better, and they're willing to take a chance to reach out and ask for some help. So
Yeah,
with that, with the gym memberships and the mental health counseling, we have more people reaching out for that as well. So the longer we've been going, the more people have been interested and okay with asking for some help.
that's great. I love that. And you actually mentioned something that I found interesting, that concept of, and I think this is a theme in military, maybe even in law enforcement and other first responders, but where it's like someone else can use it more than me.
Yeah.
My experience or my background isn't, you know, bad enough or detrimental
Oh yeah.
enough, or,
Hmm.
I didn't go through X, Y, and Z, so let
Yeah.
someone else have it. I think that that's
Hmm.
kind of a common theme. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
a really good point you make. If you take it, then it gives someone else permission to do the
Yeah.
same.
Not only that, but then the people that I do get it for, they're immediately the next thing is like, well, how can I help? Who can I do
Mm,
something for? It's like they're immediately wanting to pay it forward, and that just speaks to the servant's heart, and it's awesome. Like pretty much every time that I've gotten, hey, I want to be a part of it. I want to help out. How can I help the next guy? And then the ripple effect. Some people have gone on to help other people in their own ways. I have military veterans that have been a part of my program who are now helping other military veterans or putting on their own events and everything like that to kind of raise money for Will Be Inspired or veterans they know, first responders they know that might need help in their own ways.
love that. So, when did you get to a point where you like, okay, I have something here. I need to start thinking about making this a nonprofit, making this a business,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And how did you decide to go the nonprofit route?
So well, a lot of money started coming in on
That's
like
awesome.
yeah on Facebook and Instagram, and I think once we started hitting around like $20,000 or something like that, my buddy Kenny, who is on my board, who helped me with the first, he's like, "Hey man, we should probably you know do a nonprofit or something like that with this." And at the time, it's like I never saw myself being in the nonprofit realm. Just kind of wanted to help people, but for the tax man and everything else, you have to do things a certain way. So he hooked me up with one of his guys that helped him with his companies, and we, knocked out the 1023, got the 501(c)(3, and decided to just go that route. It was just something that I was passionate about, and prior to, I have background in law enforcement, and so prior to me starting this, I've been in multiple shootings in 2020, and I was, pretty much done with being in law enforcement at that point. Luckily, I had a kid during the time, so I got a little bit of a family leave, so it gave me a little bit of a break. But in December of 2020, I went out to Colorado for a men's or a group of my buddies from college. We went out to Colorado, kind of hung out for the week. And one of my guys, Jordan Long, he started his own nonprofit out there called Revital. So they take care of first responders, fishing trips, outdoor retreats, hikes, all kinds of outdoor stuff just to, help with depression, PTSD, and everything like that. And he told me about how it was changing lives and how it was, helping him out at the same time. So initially, I came back to St. Louis without that idea. I was like, you know what, maybe I'll run a Revital St. Louis. Well, he was so busy with everything he was doing. I kind of felt bad asking, constantly for help and how do we do this and this. So I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just start out with my own thing and kind of get it going. And then he's on my board now too. But yeah, it just turned into Will Be Inspired.
Amazing. That's
Yeah.
so cool. I love how kind of grassroots it was, where it's just like
Mhm.
one thing led to another.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You mentioned that it kind of happened because the money just started coming in. Was
Yeah.
that just a direct result of you saying like, this is what we're doing, these are the people that
Hmm.
we're getting gym memberships for, and
Yeah.
this is it,
Yeah.
and just people wanted to help?
Yeah. People were on board. They thought it was a great idea. And they really kind of started taking off more because initially the first, I want to say two or three, I just put up, the receipts and stuff like that, and just showed proof of that. That's where the money was going for. But then, I want to say around gym membership number 8, 9, or whatever, I started putting out with the people who were okay with it, putting out their stories about their service, the awards that they've earned, some that were willing to share what they've gone through mentally and their mental battles, mental struggles, and the tours that they had to do and the sacrifices that they had to make being away from family and stuff like that. So when I kind of started diving in depth to their stories, then that's when people really started connecting even more and realizing like, hey, these people did this, so I didn't have to. So I think people find a lot of appreciation in that, and they really want to show people like, hey, we really thank you for what you had to go through and what you did for this nation.
Yeah, that's so encouraging to hear
Mhm.
that it kind of did snowball like that. So, how did you kind of figure out all of the back end of running a nonprofit? And I know you had mentioned that you felt bad asking your friend
Yeah.
about the
Uh-huh.
like how Revital worked and everything.
Yeah.
How did you how did you figure that out? Because it ain't easy.
No, well, him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave him a break on starting Revital St. Louis, but then he was on my board anyway. So like he is one of the, main reasons I was able to him and my buddy Kenny, like Me and Kenny, we did the paperwork and everything like that, but Jordan, had been through it already before, and he kind of like, hey, this is what you want to do, and he even, so I didn't have to make mistakes that he had made previously. He's like, I did it this way. You should probably do it this way because this is what we learned from it. So a lot of it I have to attribute to him,
Yeah,
help me through it. But no, yeah, you're right. It's not easy as far as like different forms you got to fill out, and then we trademarked Will Be Inspired, and then yearly you have to keep up with the registration and just little things here and there. And but no, I mean I think we got a good handle on it now. But in the beginning, it was definitely my buddy Kenny introducing me to his guy that helped me with the initial paperwork, and then Jordan kind of showing me the way about how he laid the groundwork for his.
that's awesome. I love
Mhm.
that community.
Yep,
Everyone's
absolutely.
coming together for the
Yep,
greater good.
for sure, for sure, absolutely.
How did you come to decide what kind of fundraisers? I want to talk about the
Mhm.
fundraisers that you do because you have
Yep,
some really cool, epic looking fundraisers out
I
there. So
appreciate it.
how did you, yeah, of course. How did you come to decide what kind of events you wanted to do and what they were going to look like?
So initially, it was just, I wanted more fitness based. So the first fundraisers we were doing, and we haven't done a lot of them lately, but when we started out, we were doing boot camp fundraisers, like right and left. Like we were F45, Orange Theory, um, did stuff at House of Pain Gym here in St. Louis. I don't want to leave anybody out. Just different gyms in the area or whatever. Some of the people I was connected with, we were doing boot camp fundraisers and things like that. Then after about I want to say the year after we started, my buddy was like, "Hey, we should do a golf tournament." And I've played here and there, but I don't know how to run a golf tournament or anything like that. He's like, "Well, I do." So I said, "Okay." So I said, "All right." So we do our first golf tournament, and let's see, 22, I want to say. So we did our first golf tournament then, and we had a bunch of people out. We sold out, and everybody had a great time. We had some, different things like launch golf, where you pretty much shoot a golf ball out of a cannon. We had a drone drop. We had different vendors there, and everybody had an awesome time. And each year, that's kind of gotten bigger and bigger. I think the first year we did $30,000, and this past year
Wow.
we did a little over $50,000.
Wow.
So we did that, and I'm trying to think. So then, what other fundraisers have we done? So we've done stuff with Chicken and Pickle out here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Chicken and Pickle. It's a
No.
pickleball place,
Oh,
but it's like
cool.
on steroids. It's like it's like I don't know, like 100,000 square feet is huge, and they have like 10 pickleball courts, and they're very community oriented. And so they reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we love what you're doing. We love to help out in the community." They give us free space to throw these events and stuff like that, and
Wow.
they'll even do a give back. So they'll say it's a Will Be Inspired Give Back Day, so a percentage of sales goes to Will Be Inspired.
Mhm.
So we've been doing that to them, Drake's, and some other restaurant companies have reached out, and we've done like a give back night with some of these. Um, then our other big fundraiser we do is the gala. So after a couple of years of doing the golf tournament, I was like, you know what, I've always wanted to do like a big dinner ball type thing. And the first year I wanted to do it, my buddy was like, "Hey man, you need a little bit more leeway planning with this, whatever." Because I think I was like, "I want to do it 3 months from now." He's like, "Man, you might need more time than that." So I was like, "All right, so we'll plan it for next year." And then next year we got so caught up in some of the other fundraisers and things like that, and plus I was still working full time, and that we came to that 3 month mark again, and I was like, "Hey, I want to do it this year." And he was like, "Bro, it's not enough time." I said, "We'll see." So I just,
Uh,
so I just, I put it out there, and again, it sold out. And we had it at this men's private club out here off of a golf course, 125 to 130 people, and it was a great event. The first year we did, I want to say we raised $75,000, and
wow.
then this past year in 2024, we raised a little over $200,000
Wow.
just
That's
from the thing.
awesome. And
Mhm.
that's like a gala,
Yep,
right?
uh-huh, yep,
So
yeah,
everyone gets dressed up and
yep,
has dinner
dressed
kind of a
up.
thing.
Oh yeah, yep, dressed up. We have a DJ playing. I have a violinist that I bring in, and she plays like the cocktail hour. And we have some testimonials. We have some in-person testimonials of people who've been a part of the program. We have some video testimonials of people that we've helped across the nation and things like that. And so it's been a good time. We have a casino night that we do as well. Last year was our first year doing that, and this will be our second year doing that. Friday, this coming Friday, we have a bingo night. So the girl who organized casino night, she had reached out to me prior and she was like, "Hey, I want to do something to help like a fundraiser for Will Be Inspired." And it's been my experience when people ask to do a fundraiser with me, a lot of people want me to do the work for it. So I said, okay, because I was busy. I said, well, I said, who's going to do the legwork on everything? And she was like, I'll do it. She's like, I'll do it. I might need some guidance here and there, but I'll do it. So she organized a car show to benefit us. She organized a casino
Wow.
night to benefit us. She did such a great job. I said, okay, how about you being our event planner from now on? And she's like, okay.
Well, there you
Yeah.
go.
So now she's on. Her and her husband own it was called Evolve Auto Boutique. It's a car detailing company out here in the St. Louis area. So love to have her on board. And yeah, I mean, those are our so bingo night, casino night, golf tournament, gala are our main things. And then we do some like events where we like thank sponsors and stuff like that. So we'll do events, cater to our sponsors and military veterans to get them to kind of mingle with each other and, you know, give the opportunity to say thank you to each other and all that. Um, and we do, and then as far as like that's it as far as the fundraisers. But we do couples retreats out of town. Every year we go to Colorado for a Level Up Wellness Conference that my buddy Jordan runs with his company Revital, and I'll take anywhere from 5 to 10 I'm sorry, first responder couples out to Colorado for a big event that they throw on for mental and physical wellness.
Well, that's awesome. You are doing a lot.
We're
That's
trying. Yeah,
incredible.
I have a lot of help, so
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like you definitely have a village, which is
yeah.
fantastic.
Hmm.
When did you go from, because initially it was military. When did you decide to also incorporate the first responders? Did that just kind of happen organically?
Yeah, so it just kind of happened organically. So it was just military veterans because that's what was on, my mind at the time and
Mm.
everything. And, with me it being in law enforcement, I've seen what certain guys have gone through and everything like that. So then it was just military and law enforcement. So then, Jordan was a firefighter and he's like, "Hey man, fire people go through some things too." And I was like, "Okay." And so I started hearing some of the stories from my people, firefighters that I knew and stuff like that. I was like, "Man," I said, I'll just open it up to military veterans and first responders because everybody has, some sort of PTSD. And I know how much the gym has helped me and working out and how much of a stress relief that it has been. If I didn't have it, I don't know where I'd be at the moment because it's helped me out tremendously. So that was my whole thing is if this can help me out, maybe it can help other people out, get people off of medications, living a healthier lifestyle and not dependent on others to help them, but them to be able to help themselves through fitness.
Yeah, and the more the merrier. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you mentioned that you were in law enforcement.
Mhm.
I know just from following you, you do a really good job of you're very active on social media. You talk a lot about what you're doing, what's going on in your life,
Yeah.
but you also do a really good job of keeping elements of your personal life personal and private.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've noticed that there
Yeah.
are pieces of it that you
Yeah.
don't talk about. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize you had kids until like a
Yeah.
week ago. I
Yeah.
think you posted them.
Yeah.
And I was
The
like, oh,
people on the
crap.
internet are crazy.
100%, 100%. And I love that about your platform and
Yeah.
about, kind of how you balance those things. So I definitely
Mhm.
want to be respectful
Oh
of
yeah, for
that
sure.
and honor that. But
Yeah.
I am curious,
Hmm.
how did you decide to get into law enforcement? This is a law enforcement
Yep.
podcast, so I'd be remiss not
Oh,
to
for sure.
ask.
No, no, no. You're fine. So my dad was in law enforcement.
Oh,
He was a
cool.
state patrol here in Missouri, and he did that for about 15 years, and then he was with O'Fallon Police Department here locally for 5, 6 years after that. So about 20, 21 years in law enforcement total for him. So it was just seeing him, kind of hearing some of his stories and everything. I just, knew it. I had known one day that I wanted to possibly be in law enforcement, but initially I went the personal trainer route and everything. And when I was done wanting to be a personal trainer, I was going to join the military. And my mom was like, "Nah, don't do that." I was like, and I wanted to because I wanted to serve my country and wanted to travel and wanted to be able to do certain things. And so then she had my dad talk to me, and I was like, "All right, well, if I'm not going into the military, then I'm going into law enforcement." She wasn't the biggest fan of that either, but she said, "Okay."
She
So yeah,
accepted it.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I've always, wanted to help people, stand up against what's wrong and, you know, be uh be the change that I wish to see. If I don't know, so many people complain about, law enforcement and crime and everything like that, but not everybody wants to step up and do the job. So
Yeah.
it was me wanting to make a difference as much as I could, and
Yeah.
I just thought it was something that you're not sitting behind a desk every day. You're getting out,
Hmm.
and there's action, and it's you know uh, high. It can be high stress, tons of critical incidents, but I don't know. It was far from boring.
Yeah, absolutely. And active. And
Yep.
as someone who is an active person, I think that that was
Absolutely.
probably very important to you in
Correct.
a
Correct.
career.
Hmm.
How did your dad feel about you wanting to do law enforcement and kind of following in his footsteps?
He was all about it. I think he was happy. So I was with St. Louis County Police Department um, most of my career, and you do the graduation ceremony and everything like that, and then you have whoever you want kind of pin your badge on you. So I
Yeah.
had my dad pin my badge on
Yes.
me,
I love that.
and yeah, so I had my dad pin my badge on me, with him being law enforcement. He was pretty proud that day. So,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
I love that. And bonus, you're also the child of a law enforcement
Right.
officer. That I
Exactly.
definitely didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Uh-huh.
What, if you don't mind, I just
Mhm.
want to kind of dive into that a little bit. Like, what was that like for you growing up with a father in law enforcement?
Um, it was I mean, most people thought it was cool. Most people
Yeah,
thought it was
right.
cool. There would be, friends, peers that would try and tempt you a little bit more and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That's what it seemed like, but I mean, I no issues. Everybody loved my dad. He was a pretty easygoing guy. I know troopers normally have this stigma about him, but anybody I ever talked to had a great experience with my dad, and I think that was one of the reasons that kind of drew me to it too, because everybody had such positive interactions with him, and he was able to help out so many people, and he was pretty well known in the area. So I don't know. He established a pretty good reputation for himself.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Good for him. And
Yep.
how old were you when you became a cop?
I was 24.
Okay. Okay. So you
Yep,
were like
24
a
years
little
old.
on the younger side,
Yep.
but
Hmm.
not as young as you can be to become
Right.
a cop.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, I started. After I was done with college, I hopped into the gyms, started doing personal training and stuff like that. I was at Gold's Gym, Lifetime Fitness, and stuff like that. So took my crack at that for a while, and then decided to go into law enforcement.
And then how long were you in law enforcement?
15 years.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, 15 years. And
Mhm.
how did you know that it was time to leave?
um, um, let me think. So, for me, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I feel like so I've been in I don't know. I've probably been involved with, 8 or 9 shooting incidents, some in which I
Wow.
got shot, some in which I got shot at. And I was a part of some very dangerous units. And it doesn't really affect you when you're single. You don't have kids and stuff like that. You run and gun and do all this stuff. But then when you have a family and people who depend on you and, you're responsible for it, kind of starts to take its toll. So I'd say in that 15 years, been through more critical incidents than somebody who might have been on 30 years just here in the St. Louis area. Um, so and then it's like, you put so much work into certain cases. You have people who are out here shooting, killing people, robbing people,
Yeah.
and sometimes this stuff might even be on camera, and you're at the mercy of sometimes of a prosecutor who doesn't want to take the case or you know follow up on certain things, and I don't know. I just felt that I my time with law enforcement had kind of run its course, and with the nonprofit and everything, I felt like I was better serving people doing this than I was able to make a difference in law enforcement. So
Yeah.
that was my thing. It's like I felt more of a calling to do what I'm doing now with the nonprofit and fitness coaching and everything like that than I have with law enforcement for a long time.
Yeah. And I think that's an important message. And I want to commend you for making that decision because it's
Mhm.
not an easy decision.
Oh
And
no.
I've had a lot of people say, because my whole thing is your family is the epicenter, like your family
Yeah.
is the bottom line.
Mm.
And I've had people say, but my career is my calling. My career
Yeah.
is everything. This is my purpose. I need to
Yeah.
give my all to my
Mhm.
career.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's obviously not realistic for everyone to
Hmm.
quit the job,
Yeah.
but when you know, you know. And
Correct.
if it does come to a point where it's the job or the well-being of
Mm.
your family, you
Yeah.
gotta you gotta choose wisely.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, and just a lot of stuff with politics kind of going on and things like that. And you're like, what are you really representing? What are you really fighting for? And it's like, yeah, I'm all about helping people and standing up for people. And I was good at it. But at the same time, I didn't want to be one of those people who were completely burnt out. And,
Mhm.
I could kind of feel myself getting a little bit more negative towards it and not as motivated to do certain things. And it's like, I don't, you don't want to be in a situation where you need to be on your P's and Q's and you're not,
Mhm.
as sharp as you need to be. So that was my whole thing with it.
And that shows a lot of self-awareness
Hmm.
too. And like quit while you're ahead. Don't
Hmm.
don't wait until you have to
Yeah.
do damage
Oh
control
yeah.
or your future is
Exactly.
at risk
Oh
or
yeah.
what have
Yeah.
you.
And there are a lot of people, who are this job is law enforcement is their whole life to where, when it's done or they retire, like how many people do you hear about dying like not long after they retire? I had a supervisor who we had a retirement party for him. Everybody knew that he was heavy into alcohol, and sometimes he would be at work with alcohol in his system. And so we had a retirement party for him and everything like that. Then the next week he gets involved in some stuff, and he ends up having withdrawals from alcohol and dying.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
Awful.
just right after retiring. So I don't know, I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good foundation in my faith and fitness and family and everything like that. So I wasn't really concerned with a lot of that stuff, but it was in the back of my mind. It's like, hey, how much of a toll am I going to let this job take on me when I know that there are other things that I could be doing to make more of a difference in my mind.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's a lot of scary statistics within law enforcement. One of the scariest is, in my opinion, is that the average life expectancy of a police officer is 5 years past
Yeah.
retirement. And
Okay.
that's just so jarring to me,
Yeah.
especially because it's a career that you
Mhm.
get into young and you can get out of young. So
Yeah.
we've got all these guys getting out of a career at,
Mm.
at a fairly young age
Yeah.
and not living much longer after.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. It's
It,
it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, not to mention, the suicides in law enforcement as
Mhm.
well. Like, yeah, I can't remember where it is. I just saw. I want to say it's Texas. They just had four
Mm-hmm.
deputies. Is that right?
Yeah,
That killed
yeah.
themselves like within
A
just
week or so,
a week
maybe
of yeah,
two.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't long, but like four separate incidents of
Hmm.
deputies killing themselves, and it's just like it just insane to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of work that needs to be
Yeah,
done, but
absolutely,
again, I
absolutely.
want to commend you for making that decision because that's
Thank you
not
very
an
much.
easy decision to
Hmm.
make.
I appreciate
But
it.
you did it, and
Yeah,
I think,
leap of faith.
there you go. You're better for it. Your
Yeah,
family's going to be better
I am
for it. And
absolutely.
I mean, honestly, the community will probably be better
Uh-huh.
for it too, because just
Mm.
listening to all of the work that you're doing for
Yeah,
first responders and military, you're making a huge impact on them.
yeah,
So that's
appreciate it.
amazing.
Thank you.
I do want to know though, so when you became a cop, were you still single?
So I had a girlfriend when I first
Okay,
became a
but
cop.
but
Yeah.
not your wife.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
what was the transition like for you and your wife?
Hmm.
You were already a cop, so she just started
Yep.
dating you as a cop.
Correct.
Was that difficult for her? Was that like a
Um,
curveball? Like, whoa, this is not what I expected?
not not really. She's been pretty, even keel about a lot of things. Obviously, when I've gotten into some pretty serious
Right.
critical incidents, she, has gotten worried and things like that. But when I met her, um, I kind of told her a little bit about certain incidents that I've been involved with before, and just kind of let her know it's like, hey, I'll be fine, but this is a high stakes type job. There was an incident in, was it 2010, where I was, on an operation, ended up getting hit by a car, going to the hospital, everything like that, and being in the shootout at the same time, and kind of share that with her, and she was just like, "Well, that's crazy," you know, and I've been in a decent amount of incidents while I've been with her, but she doesn't let it affect her a whole lot. Obviously, she worries about certain things and everything, but you know, she has faith that I'll be okay. I have faith that I'll be okay. We pray a lot, and so
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome. I think, having a lot of elements to what you just said, having faith in you
yeah,
as Will, as someone that she knows has his shit together and can handle himself, and
yeah,
faith in the training that you do, probably on your own,
yes,
and faith in God, and
mhm,
all of these elements kind of give her, it sounds like, the power to kind of take some of those scary elements a
yeah,
little bit more in stride, which I think is very, very important for a law enforcement
yeah,
spouse. Because
yeah,
if you are constantly up in arms or
mhm,
stressed or worried or wondering about the next statistic and who it's
yeah,
going to be, and
correct,
looking out the window hoping your spouse comes home that night, and these
yeah,
all of these things, it really does take a toll on you, and then
yeah,
if you do have kids, it'll
yeah,
really trickle down to them, and I just
yeah,
think that's so important.
yeah. One of the things was pretty good about was not bringing work home. Like, so there's a lot of things I didn't even necessarily tell her. Not that I was trying to hide certain things, but if you say, "Hey, this happened today" or whatever, it might put her in a certain state that it's not going to really benefit nobody. So, if I'm fine, I'm fine, and I don't like I like I said, leaving work at work when I can, and being present at home when I'm home.
Yeah. Before we get into the fitness stuff real quick, how do you think you came to have that mentality or that mindset
With the
with
far,
leaving work at work and like
yeah,
I'm home? Because it's an all, it can
yeah,
be an
uh
all-encompassing job, and I hear
correct,
that a lot, that
yeah,
you can't leave work at work.
yeah. I don't know. I just want probably from seeing like other guys, like how they, let it affect them off the job, and with the
Yeah.
drinking and everything like that, and different ways that they deal with the stress, or the divorces, or the domestic issues, certain things like that. And it's like, well, there's some kind of correlation. So you'd be, better served to do your best to separate the two, because like you said, the average life expectancy after retirement is like 5 years. So I try to do everything I can to separate myself from Will, the law enforcement guy, and Will, the person in everyday life.
Yeah.
Just so I never that that that's my whole identity.
Yeah. That's so so important. I love
Yeah.
that you kind of touched on that.
Hmm.
So let's shift gears a little bit. You just finished 75 hard.
Correct.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yep.
How
This is
many times
round two
have
for me.
are you continuing?
Not right now. No.
Okay.
So this is the second time I've done the
Okay.
75 hard. And then I have a bodybuilding competition here in less than 4 weeks. So that's going to be the next thing for me.
That's awesome. I
Mhm.
did it once this time last year. I did
Okay.
it, and
Awesome. Awesome.
I haven't done it since, and I didn't do the other phases. I
Uh-huh.
tried, but I couldn't do the cold. I
Oh
I
yeah.
was such a wussy baby. I was like, I could do 30 seconds of the
Uh,
cold, 5
yeah,
minutes. I was just like, I can't do
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, you can do it. It's just it's just part of like forcing yourself to do the things that you don't want to do,
Yeah.
to make yourself mentally stronger. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the cold either. I do the cold plunges every
Hmm.
now and again, just more so for recovery, but I hate it. I don't enjoy it. I enjoy getting when I get out of it.
Right, exactly.
But
Well, I
yeah.
will say a couple years ago, I was saying that I could never do 75 hard. And
Yeah,
then
there you
last
go.
year, I stepped up and I did
Yep.
it. So it's
So
only a
that
matter
was
of time. I can move on to
absolutely.
the next
So
phase.
that was my whole thing is 75 hard was kind of the catalyst for certain things for me. So also December 2020, it'd been after the gyms had shut down and everything like that.
Mm.
And I was the heaviest I'd ever been. I was about 3 pounds away from 300 pounds. And
Wow.
I was like, man, I need to make a change before I hit 300. So I knew some people who had done 75 hard. So then that was it's okay, I'm going to do 75 hard. And I finished in March, like right after my son was born. And I dropped about 40 pounds. Yep,
Wow.
on it. And then so that thing, so it kicked off some other stuff because it was like, if I can do this, what else can I do? And so
Mhm.
the next thing, I let my buddy talk me into running an ultra marathon that fall.
Mm.
So I did a
Don't
50K.
put me down for ultra
Right, right,
marathon.
right, right. I said the same thing, but he kept chirping me on Instagram, like if you're so inspiring, run this with me. So I was like, all right. So I did the Katy Trail 50K, and I ran 31.5 miles. It took me about 7 hours, 7.5 hours to do. And
Wow.
once I did that, I was like, okay, oh, I've always wanted to do a bodybuilding competition. So then later I got a coach, and then later that next year, or early that next year, I stepped on stage for the first time in bodybuilding.
Congrats. That's really awesome. So it really was the catalyst for a
Yeah,
lot.
correct.
Was 75 hard how you found first form?
Um, no, so first form, they're here in
They're
St.
in St.
Louis. Yeah.
Louis, yeah.
So I've always known about, supplement superstores and first form once they started getting going and everything. And but I didn't really know the whole backstory on them and
Mhm.
everything. And I forgot. So 75 Hard is when I started kind of listening to Andy's podcast and
Mhm.
kind of hearing the history of, first form, his backstory and everything. And then I just kind of got hooked and been a very big fan of the company. I'm one of their athletes currently. And yeah, no, I mean, they're doing a lot of great stuff for the local community and abroad. But yeah, so I'd say I started kind of getting more serious about and learning more about first form when I started doing the 75 hard program for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Really cool. And then how did I know your wife is also very fit. I
Yep,
see her crushing it in the gym.
yep,
Sometimes you post her.
absolutely. Yeah,
She looks awesome.
yeah, thank you very much.
How did you doing 75 hard impact your family? Because I've heard
Yep.
both sides of the coin where it's been a
Hmm.
struggle. I've
Hmm.
heard the whole family gets on board. What was
Yep.
that experience like for you?
So I've done it twice. She's done it like 4 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Good for
yeah.
her.
Yeah, so she's crushed it. Yeah, I believe she's completed it 3 or 4 times. So she's done it more than I have. She does it since I've been doing the bodybuilding competition. She'll do it as we're kind of doing something together to my competition. So we're both kind of lean for the summer and everything.
Hmm.
But no, I mean she's been very supportive of that. Even when I was doing training for my ultra marathon, I'd be gone running for like 4 hours and she'd have to be with the kids and stuff like
Oh
that.
my
And,
goodness.
other stuff. She's been very, very supportive in regards to everything fitness and what I'm doing with the nonprofit. So no issues. If anything, she's been on board and she's been willing to kind of, do things herself. And, she loves being in shape, being fit. And she actually, she's a fitness instructor herself.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, yeah. So
So she
she's
has her own foundation
correct.
in fitness
Hmm.
all on
Yep.
her own.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Match made in heaven. I love
Right,
it.
right, right.
Okay, you mentioned you have a show coming up. Can you
Yep.
share a little bit about what goes into the prep for a show like this?
Sure. Generally, I like to do a spring show to kind of get me ready for the summer.
Hmm.
But
Love that. Strategic.
yeah, yeah. So we normally start prep in December. On average, my prep has been 20 weeks. It was a little bit shorter this time, but about a 20-week prep. And we start off at, higher calories and then kind of just take carbs away, fats away, um, in increments. So, it's not everything all at once and, try to I mean, you're going to have some kind of suffering with this. You're going to be
Hmm.
hungry, you're going to be tired and everything like that. But if you can kind of just slowly start making your cuts or whatever, it's not going to be as drastic as somebody that's doing like a 10-week prep and you just start off with like 25 carbs for the day and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So we do that, and initially, at the beginning of prep, I'll be more in a strength phase. So my reps might be a little bit lower, and I might be lifting a little bit heavier weight. But as time goes on, you're not getting as many calories. You're a little bit more tired and stuff like that. To reduce risk of injury or messing stuff up before the show, we start incorporating higher weights, more muscular endurance type workouts and things like that. And then when it comes to about 2 weeks out from the show, it's just more, maintaining things and, make sure you get your pump and everything like that. We're not trying to hit any PRs or anything like that, so we're not getting injured.
And you work with a coach throughout the
Yes, I
process?
do. Uh-huh. Yep. Kevin Ford is my coach. He's a pro bodybuilder. He took second to Bumstead in Canada some years back or whatever. But no, he's a beast for sure.
Awesome. Oh, do you have any goals to go pro?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the goal for
that's
sure.
cool.
I started out a little bit later in life,
Mhm. That's
but
okay.
that's yeah, exactly. But that's still the goal. So the show that I'm doing in April here in St. Louis, it's a NPC Midwest. It's a national qualifier. So if I win this show, then I'd be able to qualify for a national show, and then a national show. If I were to win that, then I could get my pro card. But pros for a reason. It's not easy. So year after year, I've been making improvements to go towards that goal. But yep, that is a definitely a goal of mine.
Amazing. How many shows have you done so far?
I've done three shows so far. This will be my fourth.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
did you do 75 hard before? Was that strategic too? Doing 75 hard leading up to?
This time, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I've wanted to do it the past two times, but kind of kept talking myself out of it. Oh,
Yeah.
I need cheat meals here, or
Yeah.
oh, I got to do treadmill cardio here. And then this year, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Yeah. It's been great for me mentally. I'm further ahead in this prep as far as like weight and look and everything like that than I have been in previous preps. So, I like this as a foundation leading into a
Mhm.
show for sure.
Yeah. And it also gets your mind right.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Because I mean, bodybuilding is a mental game too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So, force myself to do things that I don't necessarily feel like doing in the moment, um, in furtherance of my overall goal.
Yeah. Awesome. And you mentioned earlier, I think you also do fitness coaching. Can you
Yep.
share a little bit about what that looks like or what that entails?
Yeah. So we do, me and my coach, we do, online fitness coaching and, I do online and here shortly, I might start doing some in-person stuff,
Cool.
um, here in the St. Louis area, but mainly online. So, more lifestyle clients than anything. So you basically reach out to me, fill out my form, kind of tell me what your goals are and how I can help you reach your goals. And then I set up a Zoom chat and then we kind of go over everything and what's your reason for wanting to do this and how much effort are you willing to put in towards achieving these goals and it could be what's your financial situation, what's your family situation, do you have access to a gym or can you only do body weight workout stuff at home,
Mhm.
are you injured, do you have anything limiting you from doing certain exercises? So it's a pretty, and then we have what we call a MSQ form, a medical questionnaire, basically kind of going over all these things, medications, injuries, surgeries, stuff like that, just so you know we're not um, putting you back. We're just doing
Mhm.
everything we can to make you more optimal in life, and get the goals that you want. And it's more so, sometimes encouraging people's like, hey, you can do this. You
Mhm.
can have the body that you want. It's just going to take some work, day after day and getting people, not to quit on themselves when times get hard and they don't believe that they're worthy of certain things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I want to point something out that's kind of like in the background of the conversation we're having. And I'm also a fitness coach.
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't do it so much anymore, um, but I have background in it, and
Yeah.
I want to just point out the fact that you have all the knowledge, the
Mm.
tools, the skills, the education. You help other people through it, but you still have your own coach.
Yeah, correct.
I would love for you to just kind of touch on why you have your own coach and like, you know, even though you could probably theoretically put the puzzle pieces together and do it on your own, why
Right.
you opt to have someone help you through the process.
Yep. So I forget how the saying goes, is something to the effect of if you want to know the quickest way ahead, ask somebody on the way back. So, finding somebody, like I said, he's a pro who's been through numerous shows, coached numerous people, knows what the judges are looking for, and knows, how to refeed people. And if I look flat, so we'll go down, the night before a show, and we'll both be at the hotel, and then I'll go to his room like multiple times. He's like, okay, you're looking a little flat, we got to feed you up a little bit, or we fed too much or whatever, we don't want to spill on stage, so we need to decrease what we take in the morning. So it's just things like that, him being there. And then accountability is a hell of a, is probably the main thing, is having another set of eyes on you. If like if I'm looking at myself every week, I'm like, oh, I look fine or whatever. But then if I
Mhm.
have a coach that I know that's going to be checking my photos week by week, it's like you're going to want to, look like you're making some kind of progress, because they'll be like, what's going on? You say you're following the plan,
Yeah.
but these pictures aren't showing.
Call you
So
out.
it's more of a accountability. Like, yes, could I do it on my own now? I'm still not 100% comfortable being able to kind of navigate everything on my own as far as fitness shows. But I could probably if I had to. But having him as a accountability piece is huge to me.
Hmm.
Like, even so, I'll probably use it more so in the off season as well now, because just having somebody, knowing that you have to check in with somebody, knowing that, you have to be accountable for your weight, and all that stuff is just important, I think.
So important.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even throughout when I was coaching clients, I always had my own coach too.
Yep.
I
Uh-huh.
mean, they're always going to push you a little bit harder.
Correct.
They're
Oh yeah.
always they're going to look at your photos
Yeah.
different than you're looking at your own photos.
Mhm.
They're going to put in the Bulgarian split squats that you
Right.
absolutely hate and will
Oh
not
yeah.
do program for yourself
Mhm.
because you know you hate them.
Right.
They can see your weak points and things like that. So just super important, I
Yeah.
think, even when you have the knowledge and the background and the experience to have
Absolutely.
that, especially when doing something like a bodybuilding show or if you
Well,
have
yeah,
a
yeah,
wedding
because
coming up.
yeah, the bodybuilding shows aren't cheap. So,
Yeah.
like, if you're pouring all this money into it, you're gonna hop on stage and everything like that. You want to make sure that you come correct. And my coach is, one of the better posers in the area and stuff like that too. A lot of people will come to him just for posing practice and stuff. So, I mean, he's good with it all. So, definitely important for me to have. I probably couldn't see myself like the successful people that I know that do bodybuilding. They all have coaches. Like, there's rarely anybody I know that coaches himself that gets through it. I guess if you're Sam Sulik, I guess he coaches himself.
Yeah.
But but outside of him, like, everybody I know has a coach.
Yeah. Yeah. And real quick, is your coach like an in-person? Do
As
you meet
far
with him in person or is he like all
so
virtual?
So me and him are friends. So yeah, I
Oh,
will. So
okay.
he's here in St. Louis with me. So yeah, we will, like, typically we'll hit a leg day together, and then
Oh,
sometimes
cool.
throughout the week we'll hit something together. But it's not him training me. It's us getting a good workout in together. Like, he'll push
Right.
me for sure, but
Yeah.
everything typically he does. We have a app that we use, and it's the same app that I use with my clients as well, called FitLog. And we program everything in the app as far as your diet, your workouts, your cardio, supplements, all of that stuff.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, so you are a first form athlete, as you mentioned.
Mhm.
What are your top 3 to 5 favorite products and
Mhm.
flavors, if applicable?
Okay. Um, we have the Formula One. protein for
Mhm.
sure. The salted peanut butter is probably my
Really? I've been
right now.
debating whether or not I want to
Yeah.
try it.
Oh yeah.
Is
Oh
it
yeah.
good?
Yeah. It's so
Okay.
good. Yeah. Salted peanut butter, but sneaky coming in second is root beer. Root beer is pretty.
No.
Oh, have you had it?
No, I
Oh,
haven't. My favorite is the
so
cherry, what is it? Cherry lime, I
yeah.
think.
Uh-huh. The
That's my
root beer,
favorite.
the root beer is surprisingly pretty good. Like I hadn't tried it forever because I was like, ah, root beer is a protein. But when I had it, I was like, this is pretty damn good.
All right, maybe.
So yeah, so the salted peanut butter, my favorite one for sure. Then I do L-carnitine as well.
Mhm.
So I'll take that in the morning before I do my fasted cardio, or sometimes before a weightlifting session, to help with fat metabolism. I what so I do the creatine every day.
Right.
Scoop of creatine. I do what else we have? Liver. They have a liver detox that I use. So typically, like sometimes when I get blood work back, my liver enzymes are a little bit higher from the stress that I'm putting on my body and with the weight
Mhm.
training and everything like that. So I just take that as a precaution. I've done ultrasounds on my liver and everything's come back perfectly fine, but I like to be as ahead of things as I can be. So I'll take
Proactive.
yeah, a liver detox, and then oh, and then the Formula One Clear is a favorite in the household right now.
I
Yeah,
was gonna ask you
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
And
protein,
what flavor?
lemonade.
Okay,
Yeah,
lemonade.
yeah, we've been crushing lemonade.
I'm very excited. I swear this is not a first form
Yeah,
podcast,
right.
nor is it sponsored, but I have been watching
Uh,
like all of the athletes talk about the clear,
yeah,
and I used to I don't love level one just because it's
hmm.
so like thick
Oh, it's
and
very thick.
creamy.
Yeah,
I've always reached for Formula One
yeah,
because it's very thin and it up until this point it was like that. It was like a juice more
yeah,
so than a
hmm,
protein shake, so I've
yeah,
always preferred it. And now I've seen everybody posting about the clear,
mhm.
and I'm like, oh, I've got to
Uh,
try this.
oh, you'll love it. Yeah, you'll love it for sure.
Okay.
It's very good, and it satisfies that sweet tooth like no other. Yeah,
Oh,
it's very
good.
good.
All right,
Yep.
lemonade it is. I'll
Yep,
give it
there
a
you go.
try.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's great.
Amazing.
Hmm.
Okay, so just a couple more questions for
Yeah,
you.
go
At
ahead.
what point did you decide, this is kind of a curveball, but at
Yeah.
what point did you decide to incorporate politics into your content? I love your funny videos,
Yeah,
your yeah, your walks
yeah,
and your my favorite is the ones that are you're lying to me.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love all of them. Um,
I
but
appreciate it.
when and why did you
Yeah.
decide I'm gonna kind of tackle some of these
So,
outrageous conversations?
so it, but so one of the things, so I listen. Andy Frisella is one of my good friends, and but before that, I was listening to him too on his Real AF podcast.
Mhm.
And when it comes to like him or Trump or certain people who are doing very well that don't have to speak up for certain things, or even be. I mean, people could be on a beach somewhere, kick back, relax, but yet like Andy, and people like him are speaking up,
Mhm.
for things that aren't right. And he, at one podcast, he said, "I'm tired of taking arrows." He's like, I don't have to be doing this. I could be, living my life or whatever, but I think it's important to let everybody know that we're being lied to and certain things are being manipulated, and we need more people speaking up. So I still didn't really do anything like that initially. It's like I had my beliefs and I knew what I knew was common sense, and certain
Mhm.
things start seeming dumb, but I was under the mindset it's like okay, people will start seeing that this is stupid, especially when it comes to kids getting changes and
Yeah.
allowing certain stuff in schools, and but then it's like people kept normalizing certain things, so I'm like what is
Mhm.
going on? So I really didn't start talking about stuff until, and maybe you've seen this, maybe you didn't, but my big video that went viral was I think it was like 2.5 million views right now. It was the Jason Aldean "Try That in a Small Town" song. So I was on the internet one day, and this was probably like 2 years ago, I guess, when it released. And everybody was like, a lot of people were arguing about it, saying it was racist, it had racial undertones, and he knew what he was doing with this and that. I'm like, man, I said, I've never heard of Jason Aldean being racist. So I said, well, let me listen to the song. So I listened to the song, and I'm like, what am I missing? And so I did a video and it's like, hey, I listened to the song. I don't think it's racist. If anything, it's a guy talking about he wants to protect people in his hometown and stuff like that, and people need consequences. So that just took off, and
Really?
oh yeah, so I had a lot of hate, but a lot more people was like, yeah, thank you for speaking. And to me, I was just saying common sense. I'm like, and common sense is seeming like it gets most of the attention right now, but so it just started, it's like it got up to like 20,000, 30,000 views, and there's a mixture of hate and love at the same time. And I was talking to one of my boys, I was like, bro, I was like, I don't even know if I want to keep this up. He's like, nah, let it go. Let it keep going or whatever. And he's like, that's you spoke your mind. And so that was kind of my introduction to it. And then after that, it was like anytime that I see something that I feel like it's a detriment to the community or, putting certain people back or, I hate victim mentality and oppressed culture. It's like you hear a lot of celebrities, they'll champion certain things or whatever, but they won't tell you how they made it out of certain situations or,
Mhm.
they're so successful, but then they're gonna look at the next person and say, hey, you're a certain skin color, you're from a certain area, so you just go ahead and live oppressed or you live as a victim, even though I'm not. So I don't know.
Mhm.
I just felt like it was important to start kind of speaking up against certain things because uh, I just felt like we were heading and still might be heading to a bad place in society where it's just bizarro world.
Yes.
Yeah. So and then it's like if I speak up, maybe the next person will speak up or somebody will look at me and be like, you know what, he's right. And people that know me in real life know that I'm not trying to cause confusion or drama or anything like that. It's like, hey, Will's a good dude in real life, so
Mhm.
if he feels this way and he's pointing out certain inconsistencies with certain lies we're being told and certain things that are going on, maybe that might be a truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And I love the way you do it too, because it's lighthearted
Yeah,
and like you said, it's you point out the common sense. You take
right,
these things that if you're watching it, you're like, this can't be real.
right,
They can't be
absolutely.
serious.
Yeah,
And yet somehow,
yeah, we got kids tipping drag queens, like what like drag queen story hour, like what like yeah. It's just we have a certain group I think that have been brainwashed. Like, oh no, let people do what they want to do. It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
And it's going
uh,
too far. It's
yeah.
going
Like
too far.
if you're an adult and you want to, do certain things as long as it doesn't hurt other people, or you don't try and push
Hmm.
certain things on me. Like a lot of society is like, okay, to each his own. But when you start involving kids, it's like you start, moving closer to, offending people. Like you want to start doing stuff with kids, or you want to normalize kids chopping themselves up, or
Hmm.
maps, minor attracted people, and things like that. It's like, are you serious? It's like the more people don't say something, or whatever, the more ground they keep getting, and it's like, no, no, we got to speak up. We gotta stop this stuff before it gets more steam for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I love the way you do it. It's easy to understand. I think some people just kind of don't pay attention or turn a blind
Yeah,
eye
for
because
sure.
it can be confusing. What's right? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Am I wrong because I have this
Hmm.
common sense avenue, or
Yeah.
I tend to think this common sense way, but
Hmm.
so much of social media specifically is telling me that I'm wrong. Like I don't
Right.
want to be wrong. I don't want to get people
Hmm.
mad, all of these
Yeah.
things. I think there's a lot of people kind of in that
Yeah.
confused gray area
Hmm.
place. And so I
Yeah.
think your content in particular is really, well done and digestible
Yeah.
and relatable
Yeah.
for those people.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like a lot of people will think that like for every one or two hate comments I get 1,000 comments of people who agree with me. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
like-minded individuals
Yeah.
out there. So don't let like they have a lot of I mean a ton of bots on these social media apps and people who have an agenda, people who actually get paid to go on people's pages and hate or,
Mhm.
try and say that you're wrong or you're this, you're that. And there's so many more people who have common sense that think like you think that than that's being portrayed sometimes online. But for every negative comment I get, I probably get 1,000 positive comments.
That's so cool. That's really good to know and definitely reassuring because
Absolutely.
again, it's like you speak, if you do speak up, if you do, speak for what's right or what you believe is right, you're gonna have people who
Yeah.
agree with you, even if it doesn't feel
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. What they say, speak the truth even if your voice shakes.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I had a reel go viral. Actually, it was about this time last year,
Uh-huh.
and it was awful. It was, I mean, I definitely had more negative comments than I
Oh,
did
really?
positive. Yeah, it was so bad.
Uh-huh.
It was so bad. And like the people who, because it was obviously law enforcement
Yeah.
based.
Uh-huh.
Um, so the people who were like ACAB, all cops are pigs, like all of those
Yeah.
things, those people kept sharing the reel in
Yeah.
their stories. So
Gotcha.
their people
Oh, okay.
would come and
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
perpetuate, like it was viral in the wrong pocket.
No, I got you.
But
I got
at
you.
one point it did just kind of, I guess, go generally viral and I got
Yeah.
a flood of messages of
Oh, yeah.
people like,
Absolutely.
thank you for posting this.
Yep.
Like I learned so much,
Mm-hmm.
or you made me feel like something from my childhood,
Yeah.
was normal. Like the positive people came out of the woodwork
Yeah, yeah.
eventually, and I was like,
And
whew,
then, to law enforcement people, it's like, okay, she got some skin in the game now. She been
yeah,
she been attacked for it,
it's
for speaking up.
true,
So
it's
yeah, so I mean,
true.
it's respectable to me.
Yeah,
People like you
yeah.
are willing to, speak up for law enforcement because everybody wants to, say pig this, pig that, or whatever, but they'll be the first one to call the police when their door gets kicked in or something like that.
Mm,
So it's
yep.
lot of keyboard warriors out here for
A
sure.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do something more
Yep.
public than
Mhm.
just, it's honorable and we need it, but I didn't want to donate to a nonprofit
Yep.
or, even volunteer for a nonprofit.
Mhm.
I wanted to do something that really would kind of put some skin in the game
Yeah,
of my
absolutely.
own skin
Yep.
where I'm like, I'm putting myself out
Mhm.
there on behalf of these people who
Sure.
are sacrificing so much. And
Mhm.
as a civilian, I'm like in this weird middle ground gray area between civilians and law enforcement because
Yeah.
I understand the lifestyle and some of the experiences that they have.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I try to be kind of a bridge.
Yep.
And lately, I've been speaking to groups of civilians a little bit more
Mhm.
to typically I speak to law enforcement, but
Yeah.
I've been speaking to civilians a little bit more just to like help start the conversations, to help people
Yeah.
understand that like maybe they're not perfect, but they are just people.
Sure.
And 9 times out of 10, they're doing the best that they can.
Mhm.
And we all need a little bit more empathy for one another at the end of the day.
Absolutely. For sure. For sure. No, that's awesome. Yep. Appreciate the work you're doing.
Yes, thank
Mhm.
you. I appreciate the work you're doing. Really, really fantastic stuff. Where can people find you, learn more about you, learn more about
Yeah.
all of the stuff, get involved?
Yeah. Um, willbeinspired.com is our website. Will be inspired on Instagram is that's my tagline, will be inspired, no E after the B. So we have willbeinspired.com, will be inspired on Instagram. Those are probably and will be inspired at gmail.com is my email. So those are the best ways to kind of get a hold of me or see what we're doing, the work we're doing, the events we're having, and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of really cool events coming up. Is
Mhm.
the information for like the retreats and stuff, is that on your website if anyone wants to get involved in those?
So we're gonna start putting those up. I've been kind of just putting it out there on social media for people who
Okay.
want to sign up and things like that. But we will start doing. I'm in talks, and if I want to develop an app or something like that, or just have a section on the website to where people can kind of put their name in the hat. But some people have
Mhm.
reached out. Just there's a part where you can kind of comment or leave me a message or something like that that have expressed interest in wanting to go on the retreats. Like the couples retreat, I did my first one in December, so I kind of reached out to some certain people, military veterans. Some I do, some I didn't, or whatever, to see if they'd be interested. And we went to Arizona, and that was kind of like the test run for it to get everything,
Okay.
set and see what worked, see what didn't work, and then now um, the goal is to do more of them. with people from across the nation.
Okay, awesome. So definitely go follow Will Be Inspired and see all of the stuff that he's doing and watch it progress and develop. This was an awesome conversation. I really, really appreciate you coming on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you. Great conversation for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to make sure we do?
Um, Nothing that I can think of. We went over a lot today.
We did a lot. We talked about
So,
a lot of different elements.
uh-huh. How many law enforcement individuals do you have in your family?
My dad, both of his brothers,
Mhm.
my mom and both of her sisters married cops,
Yeah.
and then f I think four of my cousins, maybe
Okay.
five of my
Oh wow.
cousins.
Awesome. Big law enforcement family.
Yes, big long. Well, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
their sons became cops. Their
Yeah.
sons followed in
Yep.
their footsteps. My
There you go.
my brother is colorblind, so he could not
Gotcha.
become a cop.
Gotcha.
He
Okay.
became an emergency room nurse instead.
Okay. There you go. Still helping people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you again so much.
You're welcome. I appreciate you having me on here.
Absolutely.